Welcome back to my lovely IHP community and the 5D Collective. I mentioned we would have some stories on our previous episode, so before I let you go for real, we'll treat it a little bit like a mix of the late IHP show with your 5D Mystic and the stories that I wanted to share. So I'll think about what title I want to give this one. But if you're new in the meantime, welcome. If you are a member of our lovely 5D Collective, it's going to mean that you have healthy self-worth, the securely attached 1-year-old. That's the 5D frequency because you're able to have an open heart, but really it's also because an open mind and to self-regulate. And that means that if somebody has unhealthy boundaries, they don't know health, so they're insecurely attached, it's not Lucifer that we blame for the shame sex people, the shame drug, the shame drinking. And I'm going to keep on trying to ensure that we can use those words so you can understand. Some people, they willfully do not take themselves in the year 2024 to get healed. Now, it is a tough journey to get out of those which are the shame, but it's a journey that they can do with the good therapists like Dr. Daniel Fox. He talks about how people want to find healthy others when they're healing from borderline personality, narcissism, all of the personality disorders. He's an expert and they're all healable. So again, Lucifer, with all the sciences today, would laugh at the fact that all those people who think that they're doing something that is quote unquote badass, their stories about evil, Knievel, medieval. Nope, so sorry. So 5D Mystic here as a divine feminine, I consistently saw that there's human suffering and no demon, devil, evil, which is why at my 18, 19, or 20, one of the three, I was like, hey God, I don't see this evil stuff, this demon. I'm really scared if I'm ever presented him, because I was a young adolescent, young adult who was saying, I don't believe in it, and I don't see it. And I didn't even have clairs yet, but I said, I know what I promised with catechism. In the meantime, I see these human beings who wear cloaks, but they don't do what I got taught that you are. And they're really scary, and they're divisive, and they're really hateful, and they're really mean. And they hurt people emotionally, mentally, physically, and they're doing anything and everything to say that they represent you. But I know in my heart that they don't, and that they're not the Holy Spirit. And the fact that they want to make Reiki, by the way, sound like it's yucky energy or that yoga, yeah. FYI, 5D Mystic here, and any smart human being of faith will know that that's not true. It's why it makes us sad that they don't hear themselves as they disrespect a whole bunch of things and continue with ancient stories. But closed-minded people, that's the rigidity that they will present. It's called cognitive dissonance and non-bilateral integration. So when you meet an unintelligent, mentally, emotionally, and physically speaking human being, you're going to know who they are and how they sound. And yes, there is a shame button in there of defectiveness besides everything else. Because you can list to me all of ancient history, just keep it I'm talking to you from a space of sciences proves that our embodied brain is looking to and return to its restorative embodiment, which is heaven in the body. It doesn't want to have shame, defectiveness inside. So sciences proves that which I learned from God, which you're all my brothers and sisters. Sciences, to me, the attachment and trauma, all of it, Patrick McNamara, Dr. Daniel Siegel, Dr. Daniel Fox, Bezel Vanderkolk, Stephen Porges. I got so many names, putting to the mystic side stuff. I know that they're going to keep proving it. And they prove something I learned from my catechism. Again, to forgive, to be a person that is humble. So they are speaking truths that I had learned as a child growing up, which is why when I got to my 20s or whatever it was, I said, I ain't following mean people that don't represent you. And whenever I see someone wanting to use that word and telling you to shame human beings and that humanity is not kind, I know that that's a sad human being inside. No, they're probably armored shut in. I leave it alone because, that's the part of where some people, the unhealthy others who don't take note of how they will have addressed another human being because they don't heal their trauma. Yeah, it's okay. We know. It's okay. So they're there for those people. It's Peter Pan for the lost boys. It's not Lucifer. Again, Lucifer would laugh because science shows what unhealthy self-worth people are. They're all people who navigated something in their life. It's a sad business, but they tell you, I find it hard to believe them first years of life, and they don't take in any of that, which is good information that will lead them to become a person who can say, I am myself. Yay! And that's actually what's nice about the authentically healing ones with Patrick Teahan, with Dr. Daniel Fox, with Bessel van der Kolk. So come on over if you love people and if you love God and Jesus as well, because I still love God and Jesus. I just know I'm not welcomed by all the people who use the name, but it's okay. And that's because Jesus wasn't welcomed. They seem to forget he walked with all people. They just like to use the scary ass stories that work for only the shame sex human beings and the shame what? Drinking, and so maladaptive. It's unfortunate business, the trauma stuff. So when you have people who want to love, you'll know because they will go and get healed. They will also allow themselves to talk to the people that came in their life. And I have a perfect example. Kylie, I don't know if you ever watch my videos, but if you do, mwah, I hope to meet you one day online or something, but she's awesome. So she authentically is healing, and you can tell, and she has a beautiful relationship with her boyfriend who's a sociopath, and they get shitted on because of ignorant human beings. And when you see them together, you can tell that they love each other because you can tell. And so it makes my heart cry. See, as a divine feminine, whenever you see anyone, it's kind of like when Tinkerbell, even though she was being mean to Wendy, but divine feminine here, so we'll always tap into what your potential is. The first time I'll meet you, I'll be like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. Then I'll get to know you and you'll still be amazing. But if you have unhealthy other stuff going on, I'm going to start noticing, because you're going to start getting into the unfaced fear business of throwing shit at me. But I'll catch it and I'll make flowers, and now that I'm experienced with the attachment trauma information, I know how to handle it even better. So I love to be able and be equanimous and be in my restorative embodiment. That's why you get to come do that here if you want. You don't have to, but mindfulness, mindsight, and mindset practices are what any securely attached person will want, because why wouldn't you want to become more of bliss and delight? That Zen master is laundry. It's too bad he doesn't do more of emotional resiliency. So long story short, Kylie shares not only how she's healed from BPD, so she's doing better with that. She's still healing from NPD, narcissism, and when she got that diagnosis, all of her fans, or they're not fans, excuse me, but her followers, they some of them basically, now it's like, now you're an evil person. So as long as it was only with borderline, they were there for her, and then with narcissism, some of them left. Obviously, at the end of the day, Kylie's not doing what she does for fame or fortune. I know she's not, even though people will say, yes, she is. And you know what, even if when they said, you know what, part of me wanted it, whatever, you know, but she's healing. The part is that she's authentically sharing information that's going to be helpful to anybody who needs that, to go and say, okay, I'm not alone. And she's really needed, because for me, I'm a bonus to those who want to do more, but I'm a securely attached person. And I know how easy it is for me to harness those thoughts and emotions versus somebody like Kylie, who has the first 3 years of life, or whatever it is her story is. So when you understand how this works, is why, again, Lucifer would laugh at every person who wants to use his name. And this is how I'm going to go about my business, continuing to let you all in on the fun fact: there's no demon, and there's Patrick McNamara. I have a scientist who's proving it. I don't prove shit. I'm a mystic. I'm a woo-woo lady. You may be right. I may be crazy. In fact, there are people who think that I am. I'm not crazy. And some people actually think that I could be evil. I'm not that. But hey, if you are afraid of a 4'9" woman, well, I have news for you. I cannot fathom that at all. But I can fathom that I'm annoying to people, especially when I say no. Yeah, people don't like when I say no, because I mean it when I say no. And any person who doesn't have their healthy boundaries set is not going to be able to accept it and have fun with it. They're going to be like, I don't like her anymore. Or they're just going to, anyways, let me put that to the side. So I am okay, because if I say no, by the time you've gotten me to have to continue to say no, it's because you've pushed it. And that's the part of where unhealthy others, they don't know healthy boundaries. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is just in general. And so, yeah, you don't change who you are because somebody doesn't know how to accept and respect what you are bringing to them. When I have been brought that I'm not accepting and respecting what others have asked me, because I have just as much culpability in being a consistent person to ask something, I will have accepted that and apologized and allowed myself to completely understand. Okay, so that's the part of where you can be on both sides of the coin, which is why I can be an annoying person, I can be a not annoying. It all depends if we are jiving or not, if we are open to each other or not. Okay, so back to Kylie. As I was saying, she had this split thing happen when her boyfriend told her she's the one, because that's what happens for BPD and NPD, even though they have different traits. But the split thing was, it's not something you're aware it's happening. It's reactive, because your inner child does not believe that it's going to be lovable. There's ways, she has a better way to explain it and talk about it, but it's, I'm not good enough to be loved. This is not true. And it's a very much upsetting moment. She kicked him out. She threw all his stuff away. I don't want to ever see you again. So she had a complete split. And I think 2-3 days later or something like that, she tells the story again better. But he kept all the stuff because they both have good therapists. So he knew what was happening, I believe. But even if he didn't, he kept it just in case, and they made up. So that's really great. And they've been working really great together because they both have good therapists. And they're serious about regaining their health inside, their inner child inside. So they are with good therapists who are saying you were not born unkind. You were born and there's trauma stuff, or however different ways again. So there's answers. These are not stories. The people who are ignorant, doesn't matter how many degrees they have, when they tell you lack of imagination for evil, that's an ignorant, uneducated human being who's refusing, belittling, dismissing their own colleagues' studies, findings, information. They chase Dr. Daniel Siegel down the hallways. The ones who are his colleagues who don't agree with the fact that he is teaching and sharing the information he is. So we have, at the very bare minimum, those two groups. Human love narrative group, we're empowering. Human suffering love. That's how I'm going to organize it for IHP. So when you ask a divine feminine what makes our heart smile, it's seeing Kylie and cry. Like I could cry right now out of joy. So the Tinkerbell thing, it's like when she says to Wendy, every time you say you don't believe in a fairy dies. Every time a inner child chooses to not welcome fragments of their self back home, we will feel it. And that's something that I'm a mystic, so remember, I have an oversoul. Okay, so our oversoul, it's all of our oversoul. It's been since 2007 that I've been open up to my clairs, because that's when our lovely Earth began her transition to this 5D frequency. Because of my background with Jesus and God, I didn't need anything. I already had established the whole there's no evil that I see. And I simply knew one thing, that the clairs are part of my human makeup. That was the immediate download I got. Also that I'm a divine feminine, because I'm a nurturer by heart. But I'm also, again, somebody who, when I say no, that's it. I said no. And if you push it, I will repeat myself again and again. But I enjoy to be able to do that with equanimity, not with any type of shaming, blaming, faulting. I don't do that stuff. That's the unhealthy people do that stuff. So they will use gossip and, backstabbing conversations. That's why it's not backstabbing. I mean, it can feel like it's backstabbing, but it's not. It's just an unhealthy, insecure other who doesn't know how to handle themselves. It reminds me of all those teenagers. So the adolescent has a low self-esteem, indirect communication, passive aggressive. They don't know how to regulate themselves, and they don't know how to be independent in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so that's why the insecure person isn't going to be someone impressive, and that's also why we will know, again, mystic here, there's no demon anywhere, especially because of attachment trauma, again, and educators like Patrick McNamara, also neuroscientist. So the proof is there, the experience was already there, and moving into the 5D bandwidth, that happened. It was funny when that happened, by the way. I found out first from the esoteric lady what that was, and then from Patrick McNamara what that was, and it's all expansion of Maria's self and my brain. So it's not traumatic. I didn't go offline, didn't have clinical dissociation. The panic attacks were what took place the most, but I also knew, and I have a course on the energy body expansion, so it makes sense. I'm a 4'9" woman, and as she explains, depending on your size, it's like a energetic cord. Then obviously I have my own child parts, and so the freeze response for sure is a part of my upbringing because I'm a preemie. There's a C-section involved. I was in an incubator for like, I don't know, 2 weeks. So all that, I'm sure, gave me a freeze response. Also, I remember my mother taught us how to swim by, well, not, I don't remember it. She told us, she threw us in the water. So I don't know. I'm sure I had fun, but at the same time, maybe I froze for a minute. Okay, so those charges, they continue to unravel until all of it is cleared away. And that's how because we have implicit memory beginning to build in the belly by 7 months of the period of pregnancy. So 7 months out of the 9. And then obviously begin implicit memory. That's why the first year of your life and first 3 are very important. So a lot of different information. That's why I'm pseudoscience lady. Remember this, food for thought lady, but I can fuck up data, confuse it. Not here to lecture, school you, teach you. Right now I'm talking to, and particularly in this case, story time, 5D mystic, divine feminine. So our oversoul, as you expand and know your oversoul, it's amazing, is all I'm going to say. So you will though perceive everything, I mean everything that is going on. And so I'm thinking of one individual out of the many, and there's this thing that happened in a very specific moment, and that was just something that I was like, wow, okay. And it was at the heart, but I'm the one who felt it. And what made me happy is knowing that they didn't feel any of it. And I am okay with that because of also knowing that they're completely uninterested, unaware. I mean, so it wasn't that I was like, yay, Maria, great for you. But knowing that people who don't welcome love into their self, right? So when you don't go and heal your trauma and you're not a person who knows how to take care of your nervous system and nurture yourself, I'm okay. Again, this is all hypothetical anyways, if I am the individual who is the intermediary because of being the divine feminine of my oversoul. It's not a responsibility in a sense of it weighing anything down. Again, I'm a divine feminine. I transmute from the heart and with the heart, and then my mind works with me. So it's not something that is causing me to feel weighed down because I'm a person also, FYI, again, remember, that has a 5D frequency with Jesus, but really we can just use the secure attachment business. I know how to be integrated. Also, there's a recent study, it's a small sample, I think, but they were looking into DNA and how that can support people to not experience PTSD. So we can remember that there can be genetic factors that give me the capacity to have a bigger window welcome to emotions. And that's the part of what I'm trying to also integrate is the spirituality and the sciences. They come together. And as a divine feminine, I can tell you though that a divine feminine is a nurturer from here, which is why when you see someone who doesn't know how to be unconsciously loving, they haven't, like the Zen master, created mental emotional resiliency. They haven't taken the opportunity to expand. Now, I'm not saying it's easy or hard. I'm saying that's the free will opportunity that you're getting. And I'm thankful that we have those trauma therapists in the year that we are. I know they're the ones who are helping all people to make choices. And then I also know that our planet is in its 5D frequency. And so all people will either match it or they won't. And I also know that even if they don't, they'll be armored, shut in by the time they consistently make choice point after choice point of not taking themselves to a good therapist to get their inner child healed, because your body will always make sure to protect you from every single thing that will be out there that is scary. So, your embodied brain, you are what it will keep safe. And if you use the dark sides of neuroplasticity, you wire yourself shut in because you keep pushing that stuff down, but it also means that your heart and your mind isn't wanting to welcome yourself. And that's why that's a very sad story for a divine feminine, and it's a very sad thing to witness. And that's it. Which is why we're happy. I know I am that the scientist people are here because they're the ones who get to help anybody like me know, don't worry, Maria. their body wants to heal, and if it doesn't, it's okay. Them being armored shut in means they won't be suffering. They will definitely not be smart, but that's in a different way, not in the way that, not dumb. They just won't be participating with aliveness. So we'll continue more about that. But yeah, Divine Feminine doesn't look to the past and think about any people from our oversoul as, something negative. At this point, I'm trying to ensure we understand that 5D Collective are healthy others we love unconditionally. This is the group that's going to be ready for self-help and for doing what we do here, and just it's going to jive what I talked about, because I love all people. And the evil thing is Michael Stone, his scale, and they all need a good therapist, and they can get good therapy. And I love to see Kylie and her boyfriend happy, because that's true love, is two people who are there for each other. And Dr. Daniel Fox, as he says, anyone who's healing like Kylie and her boyfriend, they need healthy others, and that's where I'm a healthy other. And so are all of those who have compassion and Christ consciousness in the forefront. He walked with all people. He walked with all people. So all of those other stories, they don't matter, because when you have a person and you're asking them to confirm, you're telling them about forgiveness and love. So anybody who wants to, by the way, bring in those other things, even if we wanted to, we're not going back in history, that's the part. But my point is, he walked with all people. He talked about forgiveness, and anybody else who's speaking is not, that which embodies Christ consciousness and what he represents and what he means. And he's a restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating person. He just didn't know any of the attachment trauma information because it wasn't present. But he said, forgive, for they do not know. Blessed are those who believe without seeing. And he also said, don't cast a stone. And he also said, what was it? I forget right now, but you all know what he spoke about if you followed him. So I just know humbleness also. It's a very specific energetic imprint. It will feel right. It will feel right to Divine Feminine to step back. I remember there's this little pull for me that I began to be aware of at a certain point. I was like, oh, okay. It's stand down, be quiet, step back, none of your business. And so as I got older, now I don't even have it anymore, because I've learned how to just be in this equanimous state. So it's really fun. But we'll be back with more stories. In the meantime, again, sharing love and compassion. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.